don't have any filters, and you know where I'm coming from, and I'm going to tell you why that I support Tanya. So there's 5 generations in my family, born and raised here in Seattle. I have always loved my city, and I'm at a point now where if I could, I'd leave, but there's nowhere to go. I'm disgusted the way the city looks. I'm very unhappy with our current city council members, except Sarah Nelson. And even though a lot of them are leaving, enough aren't. And I have always said that we need to clear house and bring new council members in. A lot of them are the reason why our city looks the way it does now. I've always had taken pride in my city. Downtown, beautiful. I don't even go downtown anymore. I want to be able to go down there, have the streets cleaned, not see people on drugs, doing drugs. We have a mental health crisis, and it hasn't been addressed. The seats might as well be empty with city council because nobody's doing anything. You know, when I met Tanya and talked to her, she's the change we need. I have a lot of hope and faith in her. We have got to get her in. There's no way that I can tolerate any more time with Tammy Morales. She doesn't deserve another chance. She has shown us who she is. Maya Angelou has that saying, once they show you who they are, they show you who they are, and she has got to go. So my role with African American Community Advisory Council is with SPD. I try to build a bridge between the Black community and SPD, and everybody is welcome. It doesn't matter what race you are. So I work a lot with them, and I've seen our department destroyed. I've had my issues with the police, and I wasn't pro-police for a long time. I've had family members that were beat up by them, but I wasn't going to carry that weight anymore. So I'm working with them, and we have lost a lot of good officers. We basically don't even have a police department, and it's scary when I hear officers tell me if the community knew how many officers we have and the whole situation, they would be afraid. I even had some of them tell me to arm myself, which I'm against guns, but I don't hold it against people that feel the need to feel safe. I don't feel safe. We need to build a dream team. We already have Sarah Nelson. We need to add Tanya to that. We need to add a few more. And I think we're headed in the right direction. We have a mayor that works with our chief of police, but we need more than that. I really support you, Tanya, and I'm already claiming that you will be a next city council member. But, you know, we're all here, and sometimes when we leave events like this, we just go on and think, oh, you know, something's going on, and then you don't vote. You have to get out and vote. You have to help her get in. Whatever it takes, volunteer and help. I've seen too many people not win because other people are like, oh, there's enough people, she's already in.
I guess my talent is I tell stories for a living. The one show you may know me for is the show Hoarders. Have anybody seen the show Hoarders? That's my show. And I'm sorry about that, but it actually premieres again another season on Memorial Day. There'll be a marathon. No. Anyway, one of the things that, the reason I decided that I'm going to be up here and talk about Tanya is because I really didn't know her until that one night when we first had the night of the riots downtown. And the Seattle police decided they were going to push all the rioters into Chinatown. And what happened that evening is inexcusable. I mean, I saw And to that fact, the neighborhood still hasn't recovered from that. But again, it was time and time again, government malfeasance taking advantage of communities that don't have a voice and can't fight back. When I stood with Tanya when we were fighting the mega shelter, people thought it was about the unhoused and CID versus the unhoused. That wasn't it. What it was is, we want a voice. We want a seat at the table. And we haven't had that in this community. What we've had is a council that votes on ideology, not what people want. How many times have you gone to a meeting where an elected actually shows up to listen to the people? They don't. They hide. And that's why I stood with Tanya, because she's out there night after night. One of the things she did during the pandemic and during the Asian hate, she was out there giving mutual aid to the unhoused people. She was going around checking locks, making sure windows weren't broken. I didn't see any of the electeds out there doing that night after night. She didn't want praise, but she was out there caring for people and caring for the community. When we stood against the mega shelter, it was about giving people a voice. Because how many more times can they put I-5 through there, a trolley, build a kingdom, and just treat the CID like it's a parking lot? Now people are gonna say, the reason that she's running is just because of the CID. That's not true. What is true though is the rest of District 2, all the neighborhoods of District 2 suffer the same fate that the CID does, and that's the government doesn't give a damn. Especially who's representing that community now. How many times has she shown up to your community to talk to you? She does now because election time, but she hides. And so what we're saying right now is Tanya's seen the need. She's seen the need to show up and listen. You know, a lot of people will come up to candidates and say, what's your position on this? What's your position on that? You know, I think most candidates do have a position, but the most important thing is, my position is, I need to listen to the community. I need to listen to every neighborhood to make sure they have a say. Because District 2 is so diverse. It's not only diverse in ethnicity, it's diverse in socioeconomic. You know, you go to Seward Park, that's a lot different than Rainier Beach, right? But they both have their own concerns. And so you need to listen to each group and understand what they want and work towards that sort of equity for people. And that's what I've seen Tanya do. I've seen her, you know, helping unhoused people through a crisis, administering Narcan, picking up needles, you know, de-escalating fights. I don't see any electeds doing that. She's bringing real knowledge, and she's on the streets, and that's what we need. We need elected people that will show up and listen to people and do what the people want. The time is over of voting and just kind of governing on ideology. That may have been Seattle at one time, but it certainly isn't today because there's too much work to do. And so that's why I want to encourage you to volunteer, to step up, to help Tanya become elected, become one of the strongest voices on the Seattle City Council.
Class was at Jefferson Community Center, where I was 5 years old and learning how to leap over objects, and that started a lifelong love of dance. Also did pottery community centers, learned how to play basketball, and so I really wanted to have this kickoff here, and it's so special that you're here to join me. I also want to thank my mother, who's always supported me, and all of the volunteers that are here, Albert, Hannah, Freddie, Anna, Henry, my husband Randy, and so many more who are here. Thank you so much. And also acknowledge, thank you Sarah Nelson for, Councilmember Sarah Nelson for joining us. And Pete Henning, also running for Seattle City Council. And Joy Hollingsworth in District 3, our neighbors. And so thank you so much for being here. I want to tell you a little bit about my story. My family came here in 1887 in First Chinatown, which was next to the waterfront. So Chinatown moved about 2 times. You got pushed back every single time the land became valuable. And so we had laundromat on Commercial and Main for a couple of years before the Great Seattle Fire. And then we're forced to move on East Howell Street and continue the laundromat there. From generations, my family was able to start a restaurant, Moon Temple Restaurant. My grandfather worked there for 30 years, 15 hours a day without ever taking a vacation. And from that generational wealth, was able to purchase the Louisa Hotel in the Chinatown International District, where my parents opened the first Chinese bakery there. Before then, you had to go to Portland or you had to go to Vancouver to get Chinese pastries, but I grew up in the bakery. I remember running around, chasing after little critters and stealing bread, and also meeting community, meeting other little children who came into the bakery. And later on, my father in his 50s went back to Seattle University to get his law degree and opened a law office around the corner. And I remember walking to court with him as he defended members of the community and helped to get information from community members who have experienced devastating loss or were just confused about the system. So learning about how we have to give back and to help. My father passed away when I was young, but it's not lost to me. The hard work from generations and the legacy from all of our ancestors. I am the first to be born here in the US because of exclusion laws. None of the females in my family were allowed to immigrate here. And so I am the product of racist policies, as many of us are. And so around 2013, the Louisa Hotel caught on fire. We lost half the building. We were forced to start emergency stabilization and redevelop the building. And so from years of working with the city and going through the permitting and development process, we eventually opened in 2018, right before the pandemic, to workforce housing, which is about 30 to 80% area median income. So I had that experience of how to build housing, how to build workforce housing, especially in the Chinatown International District, and not being able to find a loan because of where the building was located, and especially seeing what the need is. We opened right before the pandemic, which also meant that everything was shutting down, and of course there were a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of looting, a lot of businesses getting broken into, and many community members, we were doing our own thing. We were kind of patrolling the streets ourselves and found each other eventually and started the Community Watch group, which has been going strong and continues to do so. For 2 years, we walked the streets of the Chinatown International District, 3 neighborhoods, Little Saigon, Ihamachi, Japantown, and Chinatown, and Little Saigon. And we just basically wanted to make sure everyone was okay, extending a friendly face and to the businesses, the residents. We also participated in anti-Asian hate rallies. We helped senior escorts. We also did self-defense classes, and to help roll out vaccines to our senior members and to our in-house members as well. We slowly saw that public safety was kind of growing, a lot of racism, anti-Asian hate in our communities, not just in the CID, but throughout Seattle. And seeing the homeless crisis kind of just blow up. We saw fentanyl on our streets 2 years ago, and that was absolutely devastating. We carry Narcan, we've done CPR, we administer Narcan to people who look like us, who are just trying out fentanyl for the first time and are in an uncertain situation, and to our in-house members too. We started going out to the encampments about a year ago, making that connection, trying to connect people to services, helping our unhoused residents find help basically, and that we are here for them, providing meals and mutual aid. And seeing what is really happening on our streets has been really amazing. Seeing the difference between the criminal element on Fulton Jackson and also what was happening in our encampments, and making friends with people who found housing and come back to say hi. And so these experiences have led to 3 priorities. Community safety, which encompasses a whole wide range of things, which includes what happens to small businesses, hoping they can go from surviving to thriving. How do we uplift our community backbone, our mom and pop shops, as well as other enterprises that may not have a brick and mortar store? How do we make our community stronger? Because when our communities are stronger, then we have less public safety issues, which also means making sure that our youth are taken care of, they're being supported, they have activities they can go to, and they have pathways to either go into the trades or go into university, and that there is someone there to listen. And so that also encompasses things that we see out in the streets, that not only are our police force is well supported, but that we also have those alternatives, more social workers, wraparound services that not only attend to behavioral health, but as well as addiction services and transitional services. So people who have been living on the streets, it's very traumatic for them. When they go inside, are they able to get services on how to use a phone, how to call for help, or be able to build community and integrate people and have friends. And so it encompasses all of that. My second priority is homelessness. How do we help those who are in need or having the worst? I mean, we're all very close to, basically, many of us are one paycheck away from losing our health insurance, our homes. And so how do we set up programs to help prevent that? And for those who are currently on the streets, how do we set up programs to help them with transitions and also with finding housing in a very compassionate and empathetic way, and where we can meet people where they're at and be able to set up those relationships and that trust. And housing is my third priority. I built workforce housing, and how do we extend that to the rest of the city of building affordable housing, but at the same time, making sure that our communities are protected from disaster gentrification, from displacement, and that's really important coming up in the City Council with the URM bill possibly passing in August. How do we set up more land trusts, so possibly, you know, if and certain circumstances happen, that land stays within the community. How do we look at different incentives to help build more housing, and looking at zoning as well as other racist policies that we have seen that prevents that. And so I think I bring a holistic view. I've done a lot of work in the last 3 or 4 years, especially in those 3 priorities, and I would love to bring it to a higher level and build communities and where everyone feels safe, everyone feels like we belong, that we have a voice, that we're being listened to. And I always come back to the imagery of, I remember going to the park at 2 a.m. and seeing seniors listening to opera. How do we get back to that, where seniors feel safe, they can go to the park and be with people? I think that would be so amazing to go back to that time and basically bring it down to the neighborhood level. We haven't had an updated neighborhood plan for many years. How do we develop relationships with people and be able to build communities where we see what we want to see happen? And so I am asking for your support. There's basically 3 things I'm hoping that you'll be willing to do if you are willing. First off, I'm collecting vouchers. There's still a long ways to go, and it's still early, so if you would be willing to tell your friends and family about me, I would love to be able to meet people and make that connection and have them learn more about me. And so voucher collection, I'm starting to canvass in the next week or so. Check your social media, the websites. We're probably gonna have a big canvassing event coming up in about 2 weeks. And also, if you'd be willing to help me, the 37 legislative Democrats are going through their endorsement process. So if you do live in this district, District 2, we highly recommend or ask that you possibly sign up to be a 37th legislative Democrat so you could help endorse me. That voting process, I think you have to be a member by Tuesday the 27th to be able to vote for me for the endorsement next month. And so, thank you so much. And if anyone has any questions, I'd love to take them.